Well, let's begin with a look at how the markets performed this week. First, to the European markets, which slipped on Friday in their last trading session of a very rough year that was marked by geopolitical tensions and growing fears of a recession as central banks tightened their monetary policies globally. As at Friday, December the 30th, Euro Stoxx 600 closed on 424.99 and it was down by 1.27%. In London, the FTSE closed at an all-share index of 7,451.74. It was down by 1.81%. The markets in Germany saw the DAX close at 13,923.59. also down by 1.05%, while the CAC 40 in Paris ended the week at 6,473.76, losing at 1.52%. And finally, the IBEX 35 in Spain ended also on a negative note at 8,229.10, losing by 1.07%. Now to Nigerian stock markets. At the end of the last day of trading on the NSE, in 2022, a total of 890.68 million shares in 3,566 deals corresponding to a market value of 7.35 billion naira were traded. The current market capitalization of the NSE is 27.91 trillion naira. And now let's take a look at Wall Street as at Friday, December 30. Now for some top business stories that made headlines this week. Alexander Novak, the Deputy Prime Minister of Russia, has told the state-run TASS news agency that Moscow is prepared to restart gas shipments to Europe via the Yamal-Europe pipeline. As long as there is a gas deficit, the European market is still relevant and we have every chance of restarting supply, Novak was quoted as saying by TASS in comments that were made public by the agency last Sunday. Although the Yamal-Europe pipeline typically travels west, it has been largely traveling east since December 2021, as Poland chose to use Germany's gas reserves rather than purchase from Russia. According to an internal notification, Tesla halted production at its Shanghai facility last Saturday, a week earlier than it had originally planned to halt most operations there during the final week of December. According to sources, the American manufacturer canceled the morning shift and told everyone at its busiest manufacturing facility that they could begin their break. On Monday, Toyota Motor Corporation announced a 1.5% increase in November's global car production, which set a new high of 83,104 cars. Global sales and production in November exceeded last year's levels due to solid demand, particularly in North America, and a recovery in parts supplies that had been impacted by COVID-19 slowdowns, the company said. According to the Center for Economics and Business Research, the world will experience a recession in 2023 as a result of rising borrowing prices intended to combat inflation. The British consultancy's annual World Economic League table states that the global economy passed the $100 trillion mark for the first time in 2022, but will stagnate in 2023 as policymakers continue the fight against rising prices. The U.S. Department of Justice announced in a statement made public on Friday that Safran SA, a French jet engine manufacturer, will pay roughly $17.2 million as part of a settlement over bribery of its subsidiaries, bribes which were allegedly paid in China. The US-based company of the Paris-based aircraft supplier Monogram Systems will be obliged to turn up revenues from corruptly obtained and held contracts, according to the Department of Justice. European Central Bank policymaker Isabel Schnabel stated in an interview published earlier in the week that the bank must be ready to take the heat and raise interest rates further, including by more than the market anticipates, if that is what is required to lower inflation. The Eurozone bond markets were shaking last week when the ECB increased rates for the fourth time in a row and hinted at additional increases, which caused the Italian government to react negatively. Schnabel, the main figure in the ECB's hawkish party and the driving force behind the most recent round of rate increases, left open the possibility of raising the deposit rate even higher than the market anticipates, should the inflation forecast warrant it. ECB must be ready to take the heat and raise rates, she said. Following pressure from certain users and consumer safety organizations over its removal, Twitter Inc. has reinstated a feature that advertises suicide prevention hotlines and other safety options to users seeking up specific material. The feature's removal was mandated by the social media platform's new owner, Elon Musk. The feature had been removed a few days prior, but Twitter's head of trust and safety, Ella Owen, verified the removal after a published article described it as temporary. Now, Iran's currency is hovering near a historic low against the US dollar on the unofficial foreign exchange market amid renewed street protests. The unrest was triggered by the death of 22-year-old Masha Amini in police custody. The protests have posed one of the biggest challenges to the Shiite Muslim-ruled Islamic Republic since the 1979 revolution. Tehran shop owner Muslim says the currency problems had caused a drastic recession, which is felt by everyone. The rial has lost nearly 21% of its value since the nationwide protests erupted more than 3 months ago. Several years ago, the currency was trading at about 65,000 per US dollar just before the US withdrew from Iran's nuclear deal with world powers and reimposed sanctions on the country.
So much. The economic condition has become terrible. It has put a very bad impact on the lives of people. I mean, the lives of people have become so stressful, people's purchasing power has declined and the condition has become extremely difficult.
The currency that you're talking about has overshadowed not only my life, but the lives of so many other people and has caused a drastic recession which is felt by everyone. You know, it's not fair that before the presidential elections, a candidate promises something about USD rate and when they take office, don't care about that anymore. Such an official has no right to appear behind a podium and make new promises. When the market is in recession, the industry and economy will also recess and the value of Iranian currency will also drop. I think it happens 90% inside the country. But the officials may blame it on the US, but the problem lies inside. The other factors may contribute to this problem by 10%. The team within the government who decide on the economy of the country, the currency of the country and the future of the country are acting so ambiguously and provide wrong reports on these issues.
In the United Kingdom, Monday saw the return of unrestricted shopping as the number of people heading out to the Boxing Day sales rose by more than 50% compared to last year. But while thousands of shoppers spend the day flocking from shop to shop looking for bargains, many admit the rising cost of living has made them think twice about their spending this year.
I'll be more cautious this year to spend, but either way, I'll just spend it if it's really worth it. Yep, not quite as busy as I expected. I would expect more crowds than right now, but maybe it's still too early in the morning. But yeah, we'll see later on in the day.
I think even with the items I've purchased, I was expecting to have more bags, you know, but I've gone into the stores and looked at the prices and I'm like, the discounts are still they're not significant enough for me. So I'm actually quite surprised that this many people are here. But I think on a normal day, Oxford Street is busier than this. So for Boxing Day, if those things weren't happening right now, I would have expected a lot more people around.
According to Forbes, the world's wealthiest individuals lost about $2 trillion altogether in 2022, with tech tycoon Elon Musk suffering the greatest loss. Billionaires' net worth decreased from $13.8 trillion on January 1 to $11.9 trillion on December 9 due to an unstable stock market, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and inflation. as billionaire status is lost by people like rapper Kanye West, tech entrepreneur Sam Bankman-Fried, and automaker RJ Scaringe, the number of billionaires has also decreased from 2,671 to 2,523. That's according to Forbes. With a projected 1.8 million barrels per day crude oil production in 2022's federal budget, Nigeria underproduced crude oil to the tune of 263 million barrels of the commodity between January and November. That's according to a this day analysis of industry data. Also, Nigeria's inability to deliver two major LNG projects, the $20 billion and $9.8 billion Brass and Olokala LNG projects respectively, after about 19 years of their initiation, has also resulted in the country now counting its losses from the failed projects, despite gas becoming increasingly lucrative at the moment. In the last quarter of 2021, the Senate and House of Representatives agreed to fix the country's expected daily output for 2022 at 1.88 million barrels per day, pegging it at a price of $57 per barrel.